wanted to get your thoughts on how the scrimmage went on Saturday. What did you like? What did you still want to come out of there working on?
Yeah, I liked what I saw. We kind of accomplished what we wanted to accomplish. Obviously held out some guys that we already know what we're going to get from them. Then wanted to give some controlled reps to some guys that we think will, be guys for us that we can count on from a production standpoint this fall, and get them out, and then sort of let the rest of the roster show what they can do, and prove whether they need to be or not be on the travel roster. So stayed healthy coming out of that, and that was a main key. Obviously, dealt with a little bit banged up guys, and so to be able to give our stalwart guys a chance to have 2 days of rest, I think was beneficial in the long term. But saw a lot of clean football, a lot of competitive plays made, guys playing the ball the right way and how we want them to play. So I was happy with the work we got.
This is the 10th time you've been out, Ryan. What maybe have you been most pleased with so far?
I think the thing that I've been most pleased with is guys approaching every day the way we want them to approach it. You're not having to coach effort, you're not having to coach communication, you're not having to coach physicality, and guys are learning how to compete at a high level while still taking care of each other. So just the way we've operated through 10 practices is definitely what our staff has had envisioned, and now the guys are starting to hold each other accountable at practice. You're starting to see some leadership, poke its way through, and so we haven't had any adversity yet in terms of playing a game, but when we talk about a team makeup and good teams that I've been a part of, what it looks like in the locker room, and you see that with these guys, and so I'm excited to cut them loose and go play this fall.
Was there a winner or a loser on Saturday for offense or defense?
I don't know. I mean, you're playing. It was Purdue on Purdue. You know what I mean? So guys made plays on both sides of the ball. Like I said, the plays that were made were competitive plays. We thought we tackled well. I thought we blocked well. I thought we covered and caught the ball well. So obviously there's some things to clean up, especially with some guys that haven't had a ton of reps. But from the first scrimmage standpoint, I thought that was a good day.
I talked to Andrew Swinney, and he said he just wants to do whatever it takes to get on the field. How invaluable are those guys who, if you need me to fill a punt, if you need me to get 5 yards on 3rd and 4, he just seems like whatever you need me to do, I'm not Swiss Army knife, you can plug me in and I can fill a role.
Yeah.
Just how valuable is it to have a player of that mentality and obviously accepting a role that way?
Yeah, I mean, everybody should have that mentality, and I think that's what we're starting to see in the locker room. It's just no egos, nobody caring who gets the credit, just as long as the job gets done. And that's the ultimate goal, is just to win a game, right? And so everybody on the roster, everybody in the staff should be willing to do whatever is needed to do, necessary to put us in a position to be able to get a W.
Even though he doesn't have the reps in games, maybe is he a leader of this room just because of how many years he's been here?
Yeah, I think he leads in his own way, in his own right. He's not afraid to hold people accountable, and when he's out there, he does things the way they're supposed to be done, and when his number's called, he's there to answer the bell. So I think he's a great example for not only his room, but just everybody on the team.
When Helt and Madden are on the field together on the opposite ends there, how do you envision that sort of working together? Are they kind of complementary players in terms of physique or approach? Or
I mean, I don't know if they necessarily complement each other. They just both do their job. It ain't just those two on the field. You know what I mean? We got 9 other guys that are counting on them to do their jobs, and so I think Sheeta's another guy that has really stepped up, and we're starting to see how valuable he is to what we're trying to get done on defense. So it's just good to have on both sides, the length, the girth, and the physicality to be able to set both edges.
I'm not sure if you did any field goal kicking Saturday. If you did, how'd that go?
We did. It's still early. We've got a true freshman, and those guys are competing, and so got good work. There's probably a kick or two that they would like to have back, but they made them for the most part. But still got a ways to go.
Is there any clarity in the backup quarterback spot?
You know, it's still, you know, we still got 3 weeks before we play that first game. I think Ryan Brown has made a lot of strides, and I think Marcos is starting to overcome that freshman learning curve a little bit. So we'll, you know, haven't named a backup yet, and so when we do, you guys will know.
You gave us kind of a blanket update last week, injury-wise.
Yeah, I was about to say, when you guys didn't ask about the injury report.
Well, Nyland wasn't out yet at
Yeah.
that point. You anticipating that to be long-term?
So I'll just kind of give you, you know, obviously Corey Stewart hasn't been out here. You know, he had an MCL sprain. Anticipate him being available week 1. He's killing rehab and responding well to the time spent in the training room. You know, we got a couple guys that have minor hamstrings that'll be back either later this week or early next week. You know, CJ Smith had a hamstring, and not as bad as we initially thought, and he has responded very well to treatment. So he'll miss that first game. Luckily, we got a bye week after that, and you know, the goal is to get him back to Notre Dame. That's a very real possibility. But bottom line is we're not going to bring him back until he's ready. You know, Nyland got his foot stepped on. He's got a non-surgical injury to his foot, which is a blessing. It could have been a lot worse. You know, he will miss that first game, but again, we got the bye week, and you can't tell him that he's questionable for Notre Dame. You know, in his mind, he's playing in that one. So Cam Brown and Joe Anderson, you know, are both coming off of you know, minor operations from the spring, and have been, you know, killing it in the rehab, and anticipate those guys being back, you know, within a week or two. So, you know, at first when the schedule came out, I was not happy that we had a bye that second week of the season, and now I'm praising the Lord. So just everything's coming together at the right time, and we'll be at full force when we need to be.
What about Jaden Dixon-Veal?
He'll be fine. He's got a minor MCL. You know, if we were playing, you know, he'd be out here practicing. It's just, you know, in today's day and age, you know, everybody's kind of the same. You know, other than obviously your Ohio States, your Penn States, and Oregon, all that, they've got depth, right? So to me, it's how can you get guys as fresh and healthy as possible, maintain that health throughout the season, and it's the fine balance of giving them the right amount of work to be prepared mentally and physically to go win a football game.
Is Rod Green out for the year?
Yeah, he had a labrum operation. Those take time, so he's just rehabbing.
What you mentioned, kind of that attitude that Nyland has. We saw when CJ was banged up, he was still like going through, you know, walkthroughs with you guys. Just what have that whole Georgia group sort of brought from a mindset? So what's the most important thing maybe that they've injected?
You know, they've seen what it's like to win a championship, but still, you know, the only vocal guy out of that group is probably CJ Madden. You know, Nyland is a heck of a competitor. CJ, heck of a competitor, and both tough as nails. Same with the Nyland. But CJ is really the only vocal one in terms of like bringing guys along. So I just think, you know, they know what it looks like and have really embraced our culture. And you know, I think the guys that we kept here know what the standard is, and so it's been a good mesh. It's not like the locker room's not looking to 4 guys to lead them. You know what I mean? You know, our leaders are still our leaders. You still got KJ, you still got Hud, you still got Gus, you still got Bo, you still got Musa, you still got DT and Antonio Stevens and you know, so on, Mo and Cole. Like, the guys that have been here are still the core group of guys that sort of run the locker room. And the 4 guys we brought from Georgia have just added to the culture.
How'd that all unfold, Ryan? Did one domino fall and they start texting each other?
You know, actually, we weren't in communication with Nyland about the other guys yet before Nyland got on his trip. You know, we had needs. They had needs, and those needs sort of meshed well with each other. I think they were surprised about how this place was set up and the resources we had. Once they got here, they didn't know a lot about Purdue. And so I think the 3 opposite, you know, Nyland, were in communication and you know, were expressing their excitement about the place. And then when Nyland got here and he saw it, we told him about the other 3, and that was after he committed in my office. You know what I mean? So he was like, "Oh shoot, I didn't. Like, let's go then." You know, so it was funny how it all played out, and a lot of sleepless nights on the phone trying to recruit for a couple weeks. So I'm glad it all worked out.
So Nyland was sort of the Pied Piper.
Who's that?
Nyland Green was the Pied Piper.
No, he was the last one.
He was the last one.
He was
Okay.
the last one. Yeah. He was on a visit the last day it was possible to have a visit.
Obviously, when you're looking for guys, you're trying to vet, like culture and, intangibles as much as anything else. Did it help to have sort of like a cluster of guys to do that with? Like you can check amongst all them, like get their impressions of each other, that sort of thing.
No, not really, because they know each other, so you don't know if you're getting the correct answer or not.
Yeah,
you know
that makes sense. Yeah.
So what we did is we vetted their hosts,
Mm.
and every transfer that we brought in on an official, we vetted their hosts and said, will they be a good fit? And there were some guys who were like, "Nah, coach, he's just about the money," so we didn't take him. And then, with those guys, obviously, they're like, "No, we need them. Like, we need this guy. He would fit." And then obviously, this is coaching world is a small one. I know guys on that staff, so I was able to make a couple phone calls and get some information, and I think we hit on all 4 of them.
This corner may be the biggest need in terms of upgrade for this defense to do what you think it's capable of.
I think so. Yeah, I think so.
We haven't talked about Kendrick today. What does he add with Marquevius and
Yeah,
out
I
there?
mean, he brings versatility. He can cover in the slot and on the outside. He's not the tallest guy, but he's not small by any stretch of the imagination. He's 190 plus pounds. Quick as a cat. Brings a lot of physicality. He's got an alpha sort of personality. Very, very smart.
What is the scrimmage schedule the rest of the way? Like, are you going to have at least one more, I assume?
It depends. I got to adapt and adjust to the roster. If we need it, we will. If we don't, I won't. I'm not doing things just because that's the way I've seen it done since I've been in this profession. The college football and the landscape is completely different, and I think that's one of the advantages of having a younger staff. We can adapt with the times, and whatever we need, we're going to do.
Anthony Brown's a guy that's been out for a bit
Yeah.
too. What's his deal?
He's saying he got a slight hamstring, nothing serious. So he'll be ready to go by the time first game rolls around.
Anything else? Cool. Thanks, Coach.